noise because he's on a train. All right. I'd say first we talk about this.
Diego Herman's perfect game.
Right.
Grounded to third. Donaldson has it. There it is. Perfection for Domingo Herman. Domingo Herman has thrown the 24th perfect game in baseball history. The 4th perfect game in Yankees history. And you will always remember where you were June 28th.
All right. So that's what we can start to talk about. It's exciting.
Very much, only 24 times in baseball history has this happened, and first in 11 years since King Felix Hernandez did so in Seattle for the Mariners against the Tampa Bay Rays back in 2012. Always exciting when a perfect game is thrown, though. I mean, it does help when you're facing a double-A team like the Oakland A's, who I am going to cover their game today against the White Sox. We'll talk about the perfect game. I think no one's going to want to hear my personal opinions of Diego Herman, but always a fun feat, and congratulations to everyone involved in that perfect game, except Diego Herman.
He did throw it.
The most biggest congratulations. It's an honor to get to do if you're a big.
Guy went out for a second.
You still there?
I'm still here.
Kenny, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Are we having some technical problems?
Well, just really on your end.
Are we? Yeah, I don't know how good I am being on a train.
A perfect game happens every 10 years, and sometimes
Well, it's been 11 years since a perfect game has happened. Last was August the 15th of 2012. Actually, funny thing is there were 3 perfect games in 2012.
nice.
Philip Humber of the White Sox against the Mariners in Seattle. Matt Cain, the Giants against the Astros, and Felix Hernandez of the Mariners, who had a perfect game throwing against them earlier that year against the Rays on August the 15th of that year.
All right. Sounds amazing. And recently, now.
Mm.
Okay. If Matt said he's going to be here, I'll let him know. We are live. Okay. Okay. All right. I mean, I'm just saying, perfect games are amazing
They
when
are.
they happen. Yes.
As I said, it's only the 24th time in baseball history this has happened. The first in 11 years. It's hard to believe it's been that long, but Diego Herman, was able to do it, and as I said, pretty cool thing to have happen. I'll be honest, I have personal reservations about Diego Herman as a person. I think he got a very slap on the wrist punishment for beating the shit out of his girlfriend, but still a pretty cool feat.
It's a perfect game.
But I also think that that should be discussed. This guy has a history, and this is the kind of thing that survivors of domestic violence, which is what Diego Herman was guilty of 4 years ago, it can trigger them. And as I said, I think it's cool that he did this feat, but what also needs to, before we glorify this man, I'm not going to glorify this man because of his past, and his past does need to be talked about when he does something like this. It's just the simple truth, Kenny.
All right, but let's move on to how are the Giants doing?
Well, Giants have gone 2-3 on the road trip, which I thought they would do better, but slumps happen, and I do think. True. I did tell you last week, or at least I thought I said last week, the Giants were playing over their heads, but teams playing over their heads has been really the theme in baseball this season. Giants aren't the only team. The Angels have fallen back down to earth. The Marlins, the Reds, Rangers have all been playing over their heads as well. And but with the Giants, I mean, what's weird about the Giants is I think the Giants season could go either way. I predicted originally the Giants would go 83-79. I've changed that in the last couple of weeks the last week, really, to 88-74.
Well, I see that the Rays are still in first place.
Rays have the best record in baseball, but unless they draw a team like the Astros or I don't know, or the Angels or the Yankees, if they get the Orioles, they're going to lose the division series in 3 or 4 games. And the reason the Rays, I don't think, go anywhere near the World Series is because they are way too overly reliant on the home run. The league is starting to move away from the home runs or bust mindset that has plagued this game over the last few years, over the last several years. And as I mentioned, the Rays are finally moving away from the team. Most of the league is finally moving away from that, but the Rays are still same with the Dodgers, are very heavily reliant on the home run. And I think it's going to take them to 100 wins and the best record in baseball, but you factor in the combination of they're going to have a week off when the playoffs get underway, and how they overly rely on the home run. They get a team like Baltimore, they're going to lose in 3 or 4 games in the first round.
Reds are pretty good.
What's that?
The Reds are pretty good, but it seems like the Braves are running away with the National League at the moment.
The Braves are a really good team, and I predicted the Braves would win the World Series at the start of the year. I'm sticking by that prediction. I just think they're a very, very good team. They're a team, as I said, they won it 2 years ago. They're a very young team with young stars. They really want to. They really want it, and they have a core group of young talent that I think very well has a very good chance of taking them to their second title in 3 years.
Martinez coming right up. If you are traveling down the Central Valley towards Fresno Bakersfield, this is where you will transfer. Also, if you're traveling on the Amtrak bus towards.
Now, the Reds has been, and the thing is, rookies have made a big impact this year. Corbin Carroll has been huge for the Diamondbacks. Patrick Bailey, who single-handedly won the game for the Giants Friday in New York, which was a game thankfully they won, because if they lost that, we'd be looking at 3 straight losses and 5 in our last 6 games.
Yeah.
But the Reds have called up their young kid Ellie De La Cruz, and he has made a huge impact on that team. And I'm still not sold on the Reds yet, but I was talking to Steven Risotto. You know Steven, one of my best friends in the whole wide world, and
Yeah.
we were in the press box at Oracle Park in San Francisco last Sunday. Of course, last Sunday, I was walking on 3rd Street in San Francisco to the ballpark. He thinks the Reds are for real, and the thing is Ellie De La Cruz is a talent. He is a kid who I think could be a superstar, and he has really just given a boost to that Reds ball club. And the National League Central is a very weak division that I think is anyone's for the taking.
Yeah, they're tied with the Brewers. I don't know if the Reds are for real or even if the Brewers are. It's a tight race, and
Brewers are a better team. If I were a betting man, I would say the Brewers right now are my pick to win that division. But as I mentioned, teams playing over their heads has been the theme in baseball this season, and yeah, I mean, it's been the theme in baseball. I mean, I don't know what's going to happen. I'm still not buying the Reds. You know, the Pirates got off to a great start, and then they fell back down to earth in a very hard way. But Reds have been an interesting story, and I do hope.
Yeah.
I mean, I think it is cool that there's a very good chance that the postseason field is going to be drastically different than it was last year. And here we are on July 2nd, mathematically now halfway through the season. Though the halves are officially divided by the All-Star break, which is only a week away, and yet I think only 4 or 5 teams that went to the playoffs last year are right now in a position to go this year. And I actually think it's really cool that very likely we're going to see a much different playoff field than we saw last year.
Hey, Matt.
Hello.
Arriving Marquez.
All right. So yeah, these rankings this is what's it right now. We're more than halfway through, but this is how it looks right now. Pretty amazing, actually, when you consider that the Twins are starting to pull away a little bit, just a tiny bit. I mean, it's only one game, but they're only a 500 team.
Who are we talking about?
Baseball.
No. Which team are you talking about?
Oh, the Twins.
That is the weakest division in baseball, and
Oh yeah.
I also on the show want to give a shout out to one of my favorite managers, one of my baseball heroes, and that's Terry Francona, who was the manager of the Guardians. Tito was in the hospital a few nights ago when the team was in Kansas City, and he's had some health issues throughout the year. So Tito, get better. And the Guardians will be visiting the Giants in September, and I'm hoping maybe I can get one of those games and try and get a chance to meet. And maybe, I know this is probably a tall ask, but maybe get a chance to meet and interview Terry Francona. One of my baseball heroes.
I hope he pulls through.
I hope so
manager.
too. Tito's great man, great manager, very smart manager, and he's
Terry Francona is great.
I think one of the greatest managers of all time.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
That's interesting. Yeah, I think the Guardians can actually pull off a comeback here. I think there's still plenty of time. I mean, we're a little bit more than halfway through, but there's still 80-something games left. So I think the Guardians a 1-game deficit. We might see a less than 500 division winner make it through the AL Central.
Yeah, we might.
It's very
that's something
possible.
That shouldn't happen, but I think this may be the year where it finally happens.
The closest that we came to that was 2005 with the San Diego Padres. They were 82-80 and won the NL West and made the playoffs.
Yep, the Giants were in it that final week of that 2005 season, and they on Monday, September the 26th of that year, they had a very dramatic come from behind win, and they came into that series and they had a 4-game series in San Diego with 7 games left, and they were 4 back, and the Giants had already lost their 82nd game, guaranteeing them a losing season. And that night, they had a very exciting come-from-behind win to get with 3 back with 6 to go, and I was really excited, even though the Giants had a losing season. We're going to have a losing season, and they officially clinched a losing season, and yet we still had a chance to make the playoffs. And the next night, we got off to a 3-0 lead on a Barry Bonds home run, and I'm thinking, here we go. We're going to be 2 back, and it wasn't meant to be.
Matt,
The
you saw the
Padres.
you saw a perfect game, right?
Yep, I did.
When did you see a perfect game?
Amazing.
On Wednesday with Domingo Herman.
Are you saying you were there, or did you watch it on TV?
No, I watched on TV. I was not on the West Coast.
Have you ever been to a no-hitter or perfect game?
No, I have not. I saw Corey Kluber's no hitter a couple years ago, and then I saw Domingo Herman's perfect game a couple days ago.
Right.
14 years ago, on July 10th, 2009, I've been to 2 no-hitters, but the first of which was almost a perfect game. Jonathan Sanchez of the Giants no-hit the Padres on July 10th, 2009, one of the most magical, best nights of my life. And it would have been a perfect game, but Juan Uribe with, I think it was 1 out in the 8th inning, bobbled a ground ball and allowed a base runner. And there went the perfecto. But Jonathan Sanchez, who, he was in baseball. He was baseball's little boy who couldn't grow up. The guy could pitch a perfect game into the 4th inning, and he makes the perfect pitch on a 2-2 count, but he doesn't get that call from the umpire, and he just melts down, and before you know it, the other team has scored 4 runs.
Yeah.
Sanchi, as Bruce Bochy used to call him, had, I think, the best stuff of what was a brilliant Giants rotation in the late 2000s, early 2010s, and I actually think had some of the best raw stuff of any pitcher I'd ever seen. But as I said, he was the boy who couldn't grow up, and I think if it wasn't for that, he could have had much more of a career.
The most amazing thing about these perfect games is the fact that they're coming from people that we never even would expect to even do it. Like, you gotta remember, Dallas Braden had a perfect game. Yep. Matt Cain had a perfect game. I mean, that was crazy in its own right. And then, really the only one that we really wasn't surprised
David
Randy
Wells.
Johnson.
Look back in the day, David Wells. You didn't expect him to have a perfect game.
Phil Humber.
You're like,
David
that guy had a perfect game. He's like the wild man, and he has a perfect game.
Kind of crazy. Really, the only name that stands out from the legends, from the people who had a perfect game. Obviously, we know Don Larson from '56 was a big name, and he was not really the most well-established pitcher. He was like a sub-500 guy. And then obviously, Randy Johnson obviously was the big one. He's in the Hall of Fame right now. He had a perfect game back in 2000, somewhere around the 2000s, but
2004. It was
2004.
Yeah, it was May 18th, 2004. The Diamondbacks, who lost 111 games that year, was in Atlanta.
So that was a bright spot for the team.
Yep, he was 40 years old when he threw it too.
Other Steven, who's on camera, what did you think?
I haven't really followed much baseball, but you were talking about shutouts or something?
No, complete
perfect game. Perfect game. It happened recently, Wednesday. That's what it happened.
Oh, was it a Yankee?
But as I also mentioned, Diego Herman's pass needs to be brought up.
But wait,
yeah, it does.
There more shutouts nowadays, perfect games nowadays than anything else?
And honestly, what's more impressive about Domingo Herman's perfect game was the fact that it happened during the new era with the pitch clock. I mean, you had to work with 15 seconds every pitch. And he threw 99 pitches, which is impressive.
So wait, perfect game means no one goes on base, no one makes a hit, right?
Yeah, no one reaches base.
No walks, no hits,
every single
nothing.
Nothing.
Absolutely nothing. It has to be perfect.
Yep, and he sets down all 27 men he faces or more.
If somebody walks, then it's just a no-hitter. It's not a perfect game.
Let's say it's a 10-inning game, and he gives up a hit or a walk in the 10th inning. Even though he has set down the first 29 men he faced, the perfect game is gone.
That That's always a tough one though, because imagine he had such a thing going. I hate it when it happened. I hate to know what happened if a pitcher is taken out during that thing.
Well, it's happened before in the past. There have been pitchers who've been taken out when they were perfect, and then it kind of bit the manager in the butt when they did that.
But is it? But it's. I don't know. I can't say. I mean, from what I've heard, despite being not a baseball guy myself, there's a lot more of these no-hitter perfect game types within the past decade, right? Or past 5 years.
Actually, there actually have been a lot of no hitters in perfect games, but not as much in the last couple of years, which is actually kind of nice to see. Guys, I actually do need to go because I am on the train.
All right.
All right.
Thanks for
All right, no problem.
But you guys have fun in here, and talk to you guys next week.
Right. But here's another thing too. If it happened during the playoffs, that's probably more impressive. I'd probably take more notice of it. Or even if it's a World Series game, because I think that's a regular season game. Anything can go, right? Because it doesn't necessarily kill you for a playoff spot. But if it happened during the postseason at all, that's where I'd probably take more attention to.
If you have a no hitter during the postseason, it's obviously going to be more historic because it happened in a big stage in a big spot. But it's not bad having it in a regular season. You got to remember, there's only been 24 complete games or perfect games in MLB history out of 240,000 games.
Damn.
That's basically one every 10,000. There's a perfect game. One in every 10,000.
That's insane.
Yeah, and there's only one that happened in the playoffs. Don Larson, what, 1958?
56.
I thought it was Bob Gibson for some reason.
Yeah. So Larson in 56 was the only postseason perfect game.
Okay.
Everyone else was regular season.
Okay. But damn, baseball is about luck. I mean, I hear the saying, momentum is next day's pitcher, so you never know what each pitcher does.
Yeah, and what it's like something I said before. You know, these perfect games come from the most unexpected people. Sometimes you just gotta have a good day, and sometimes you gotta have a little luck on your side, which is like, what Steven said. I agree with what Steven said. You have to have a little luck on your side, but also if you're just on that one day, it makes a difference.
The same is I read somewhere where there's these guys who had like 5 home runs in a game or something, but then after that they're completely gone.
Yeah, it happens sometimes.
But what do you think is harder though? Game that actually no, perfect games happen, but I would think having so many strikeouts in a row is it can happen, but compared to like the hitting streak or the things like the hitting streak, for example, that's something that's never been broken for a while. And nowadays, I don't think any player is going to break Cal Ripken Jr.'s record. So those are the only two I could think of that baseball will never see happen because of the fact that it's about hitters and those who play every day compared to pitchers.
Well, yeah, I agree with you on Cal Ripken's record. That might never be broken because he started over 2,100 games, and that's an impressive feat in itself. Barry Bonds' home run record, I agree with you as well. I mean, that's probably something that might never be broken.
I didn't mention it, but thanks for bringing it up.
Yeah. Like, now, if you're talking Barry Bonds, you mean the career record or the single season record for home runs?
Well, I guess either or, but don't forget, people still look down upon the steroid era, which, to be honest, baseball shouldn't, because it's their own fault anyway for letting it happen anyway, because they needed popularity.
Now everybody's kind of juiced.
Yeah.
Well,
so
you
it
gotta
doesn't
remember,
really matter now.
Nobody thought Roger Maris's record could stand for the American League until last year.
Right. That's true.
And then Aaron Judge comes along, and then boom.
Yeah. But the Lou Gehrig still has that hitting record too, that consecutive game hitting streak. That's never been broken.
That's never going to be touched.
No. The closest I think was what, Jimmy Rollins with 42 maybe?
Yeah, that was not even close.
No. You have to be extremely lucky. You have to hit like a single every single game basically just to get on base.
Yeah, if you're a slapstick hitter, that's going to work in your benefit. But it's also about making contact and just having a field day hitting the ball. Like, you can't just be a good hitter. You also have to have a little luck on your side. That's why this whole 56 game hitting streak, I think just maybe, I think Barry Bonds' single season and career records are probably going to stand, as much as I don't like him because he juiced up.
Right.
And then also
now everybody, it doesn't matter if you're juiced up. Now it's a whole different era.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we live in an era now where the pitchers are actually really good too. I mean, that's
Mhm.
another thing. Pitchers are so good these days. So now it's like if you have a great game as a pitcher and you neutralize opposing batters, that's going to work in your benefit. So the home
Yeah.
runs are going down for single players as we speak.
Mm-hmm. Plus, don't forget, I don't think anybody's going to touch the home run record at this point, the all-time home run record, I should say, and no one's going to touch Cy Young's record of wins and losses. That's ridiculous, which is because that was a way different time. But no one's going to play that many games, and because you could get pulled out, you could have. You could get pulled out. You could miss a whole season with Tommy John surgery, things like that. So no one's going to touch that at all.
That's all true.
Yeah, exactly. Like the win loss record for Cy Young is impressive, and also 7 no hitters for Nolan Ryan was also a really good record, but that
Yeah.
might get touched by someone in the future. I don't know who. Maybe that guy Paul Skeens from LSU, who's turned out to be a really good prospect. But there's a lot of major league prospects that are out there. You gotta remember, pitching is at its best now than it was
Right.
in the 60s or 70s, and even the 80s.
Right. Maybe some. I don't know. I don't think anybody's going to touch the all-time strikeout record, strikes record, though. To be honest with you,
Yeah.
and that's Nolan Ryan, I think. But Nolan Ryan was such a wild pitcher I saw, and I saw on
Right.
TV one time. I'm like, geez, this guy really is too much of a perler.
Now that Rudderman has left, what's going on in the NFL? Any updates?
Ooh.
Nothing.
Trades? Anything?
Well, nothing major because we're just about a month away from the. Oh wait, we're in training camp now, right?
Yeah, we're in training camp. Preseason starts next month.
Okay, I really am curious how the hell these like. It's interesting we have offseason drama because Stephon Diggs with the Buffalo Bills. Who knows what the heck is going on with that?
Mhm.
You have the Jets with Aaron Rodgers coming in, but I could care less about him. I don't really think the Jets are any more than a one and done playoff team probably. And you got the big contract signs for Lamar Jackson, Jalen Hurts.
I think with Rodgers, they might be able. I think they'll be able to make the playoffs.
They can,
Yeah,
but I don't see them going too far, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
But Aaron Rodgers in the playoffs, ever since that Super Bowl win, it's like he teases you. He just
Yeah.
teases you.
Yeah, I didn't think about that. That's right. Also other stuff. We're still waiting for DeAndre Hopkins and Dalvin Cook to get signed.
Oh yeah.
There's also Saquon Barkley. We're waiting for him to.
Oh, running backs are devalued like fuck.
Yeah.
They're fucking
What's your
devalued,
language?
man.
You're on
The
sports,
Giants.
man.
The Giants absolutely screwed themselves with that. They screwed themselves by giving Daniel Jones that contract.
Yeah, Daniel Jones. I don't get the Daniel Jones one, to be honest with you. He played one good year, but you're gonna give him 4 years and what, 80 million?
40 million a year. 40 million a year for 4 years.
Oh, jeez. I don't know. I would not give him that. Although I don't know, maybe because he did not know who else they're gonna if he could get anybody else. But I don't know. Daniel Jones had one good year under Dable, and we don't know if Dable's gonna keep that up. That's the problem.
Yeah, but you gotta understand as well. The reason why I don't like this contract is simply because of the fact that one, Daniel Jones had one good year where he didn't turn the football over. That's number one. We can't go off of one good year.
No,
That's
right.
number one. Number two, the running back market is so much cheaper than the quarterback market.
Yeah.
You could have given Saquon 80 mil for 5 years, and you would have still given Daniel Jones an extension if you
Or
wanted
you
to.
could even give him like, I don't know, 5 for if you wanted 70 mil a year. It's still actually a cheaper option.
Yeah, listen, like I said, the Giants blew all their money on Daniel Jones. Why they decided to do that, I have no idea.
Quarterback.
They
I don't
threw
know.
Saquon Barkley under the bus. They threw him
I'm
under the
not
bus.
them. I'm not them. Hopefully he gets re-signed, but they're already in training camp, so I don't know. It
And
doesn't
Saquon,
look. It doesn't look very likely. Did they sign anybody else?
Well, they
to
trade for
replace-
Darren Waller. They
got Darren Waller over the offseason. Yes, that's correct.
Hopefully he stays healthy. He just cannot stay healthy on the field for whatever reason or another.
Yeah, actually, I heard a report from the Giants training camp that Darren Waller and Daniel Jones have actually been pretty close over the offseason. They've developed a connection over the offseason.
That's good. You want to
good.
hear that?
That is
Having one of
very
your
good.
big acquisitions come to your team and then have a rapport with your quarterback is a big thing.
Oh yeah, Plus, let's be honest, there's no receivers on that team.
No.
I cannot name one, to be honest with you, since the whole season ended. I cannot name you one receiver on that team. And this is weird. I mean, I thought in a weird way DeAndre Hopkins was signed with that team, but I don't know. Maybe because I don't know if that team's any closer to a championship, but Dalvin Cook is a guy that the Vikings just cut. They didn't want to deal with the cap hit because they couldn't find a trade for him. And Dalvin Cook, like you mentioned, running backs are so depressed in value, and he's been injured. He's missed stretches. He's had seasons where he missed like at least a couple of games.
Right.
And this guy can catch the ball too. He's like Saquon and CMC, except I don't know. I mean, we hear about Miami. I don't know. I mean, I don't know which team would need a running back or want a running back, to say the least, especially for a guy who's had plenty of wear and tear. And running backs do get a lot of wear and tear, unless you're Derrick Henry. But even Derrick Henry can be worn down.
Yeah, the whole thing with Dalvin Cook is I'm shocked that he's not signed simply because he has a lot of value to his game. And even then, like there are a bunch of teams that could still use a running back. Like I heard the Jets might grab him because Brees Hall coming off a torn ACL.
Oh, yeah.
Running backs don't take 2 years to heal from a torn ACL
Oh yeah,
fully.
or at least recover. You mean yeah?
He's recovered from a torn ACL. You also got teams like the Dolphins who are a running back factory. They need a starter, so there's that possibility. And even the Giants are a possibility because, simply put, if Saquon doesn't work out, you need a backup plan.
Oh yeah. Oh wait, is it true Josh
You're
Jacobs
saying
may
that
hold
we
out
could
this
get
season?
Delvin. You're saying we could get Delvin Cook. You're saying the Giants could get that.
It's possible, but not likely.
Possible.
You gotta worry about the contract too. Like, is he gonna be only 1 year at what 10 mil? Well, actually, that may be a little too high for a 1 year contract, but still. But another thing, I'm surprised DeAndre Hopkins. He's still, like you said, we're in training camp now. I would think DeAndre Hopkins would want to join the team as soon as possible. But does he want to win the championship, or does he want to just get the money? Because he's got plenty of money already at this point in his life.
Well, I've heard reports that the Patriots are trying to sign him to something, but they actually gave a big contract to Juju Smith-Schuster
and Devontae Parker, actually.
And Devontae Parker. So they gave those two guys contracts. If they're going to get DeAndre Hopkins, it's going to be a very short-term contract, maybe 1 or 2 years, which is not really what you want. But I don't know if D-Hop wants to go there because while it's Bill Belichick and while it's Mac Jones, the Patriots are not anywhere near Super Bowl contention.
No, and Mac Jones is in serious trouble. Seriously, I mean, the Patriots tried to trade this guy. Oh my lord, it's that bad.
Yeah, it's a problem. It's a problem in New England. I don't know if they could get D-Hop, but I don't know if the result's gonna work out as best as they should. Remember, this Patriots team just fell short of the playoffs last year, the very last week.
Yeah.
And now they're trying to get themselves going. They hired a new offensive coordinator.
Bill O'Brien.
They got Bill O'Brien, who worked with Mac Jones in Alabama. So there's a lot of promise with this New England team. But if you play in a tough division like the AFC East, it's going to be hard
It's
to.
the number one toughest division. Well, I'm sorry to cut this short, but I gotta go.
Oh, okay.
No problem.
All right. Thanks for joining me for this abrupt thing.
No problem.
All right, and I'll be back in New York next week.
Okay then.
All right, sounds good.
All right, see you.
All right. Peace, guys.
Peace.